I've been using a film emulation plugin called Dehancer to get cinematic colors out of every camera that I've used. That includes my Sony FX3, DJI Osmo Pocket 3, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, and even my iPhone. And that's because this plugin supports a huge variety of different camera brands and camera models, so even if you upgrade to a new camera a few years from now, you can still continue to use Dehancer to color grade. Dehancer is currently compatible with DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, and Adobe Premiere and After Effects. Today I'm going to show you how to use the plugin in DaVinci Resolve. And at the end of this video, if you do see Dehancer fitting into your color grading workflow, you can use my promo code VICTOR to get 10% off of your purchase. Anyways, let's get into the tutorial. All right, so once we have the clip that we want to color grade, on the bottom of DaVinci Resolve, we're gonna click the color page. And I shot this footage on my Sony FX3 in S-Log3. If you're unfamiliar with log color profiles, they look super flat and desaturated, but this will give you the most flexibility when it comes to color grading. And also, if your camera has a 10-bit 422 codec option, switch to that to get the most flexibility and the best results. Very first thing we're gonna do is hold Option, and we're gonna press S 4 times, and this is going to create 4 individual nodes. If you're new to DaVinci Resolve, nodes are essentially like layers of color grading. And if you want, you can label each node so you know which one is for. So just right click and then click node label. First node is going to be basic corrections, which is the shadows, highlights, temperature, and tint. The second node, I'm going to label this greens. The third node, I'm going to label it mask. And then the last node, we'll just label it Dehancer. And you can drag your nodes around and move them if you want to compress them a little bit more. Then on the top right, we're just gonna click effects. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll see film emulation plugin, and then you just drag and drop Dehancer on the Dehancer node. This is what it's gonna look like right off the bat. So let's just scroll up. At the top is gonna be input. And this is actually where you go down and click choose camera, which as you can tell, it has all the major camera brands. I shot it on a Sony. The camera model, I shot it on a Sony FX3. The format is S-Log3. And if you didn't shoot your footage in a log profile, you can just click source at the top and then switch it to a Rec 709 look. Now the exposure, temperature, and tint, we don't need to worry about that because we're gonna make our adjustments in the basic corrections node. So we're just gonna scroll down, and next is film. So this is where you can pick your film stock. There's over 60 different film stocks to choose from. So I recommend just kind of scrolling through and looking for one that you think will look the best with your shot. For this shot though, I'm gonna select Kodak Vision 350D. This is gonna give me a nice starting point, and you can also push and pull the film, but we're gonna leave it as is right now. Next is going to be Film Developer. So this one, I'm just going to enable it. And for Color Boost, this is going to essentially bring in some saturation to your image. So here's before and here's after. Next up is Film Compression, which this is actually really cool. This is kind of like a highlight recovery tool. And if you look at this lamppost, which is the brightest part of the image, it's essentially like a highlight recovery tool, so it'll bring it down a little bit. For this case, I don't need to worry about that, but if you are shooting in bright daylight, this can definitely help. Expand, we don't need to touch this one. Next, we're gonna go down to print, and this is kind of like the secret sauce. You have 5 different prints to choose from. You have linear, Cineon Film Log, Fujifilm 3513, Kodak 2383, and Kodak Glossy Paper. But for this one, I actually really like Fujifilm 3513. And the film print feature is only available in Dehancer Pro, not Dehancer Lite, so I definitely recommend getting Dehancer Pro. Next, you have Color Head, which this one can be helpful. If I enable it, I can adjust the shadow tones if I wanted to. I can adjust the midtones or the highlights. In this case, I think I'm just going to adjust the shadow tones to make them a little bit warmer. Next up, we have Film Grain, which if you go to profile, you can have it at Super 8, which this is gonna be pretty thick looking grain. ISO 50 won't be the thickest, but if you do Super 8 500, this will be super, super heavy grain. And then if you go all the way to say 65mm, which is a larger film print, the grain is gonna be much, much finer. For this shot, I'm gonna do 35mm ISO 250. If I press P, I can go full screen, and as you can tell, this adds a little bit more grain. It looks pretty heavy, but it's not as heavy as a Super 8. It kind of adds on to that filmic look that I want for this shot. If I scroll down a little bit, we have halation, which again, I can choose from Super 8 to make it the strongest, or 65, which will make it the lightest amount of halation. And what this is gonna do is if I zoom in on the lights, it's gonna add basically like an orange glow around your highlights. So I actually kind of like the look of that, but I don't want it super intense, so I'm just gonna do 35mm. And next up we have bloom, which if I enable that, if you look at the highlights, like this light in the background, all the brightest parts of the image, it's gonna give all my highlights this filmic glow. However, I shot this footage with a Nisi Black Mist 1/8 filter, which already gives the footage kind of a little glow, so I don't need to add any bloom. If you like this look a lot, you can generate a LUT out of it. And then for options, for quality, I usually export normal fast, and I've had great results with it, but if you want it the highest quality, it's gonna be high, but it's gonna take a little bit longer to export. Now that we're done with Dehancer, we'll just make a few more corrections. So we're gonna go to the basic corrections node, and we're just going to boost the shadows up a tad to make the image a little bit more brighter in the shadows. Next, we're gonna go to greens, and we're gonna click this little dropper icon right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to click the bushes. Basically, this is going to select the greens for me. On the top left, I'm going to click the highlight tool. This is going to show me what I'm selecting. And then you can adjust these little sliders to only select the green in the bushes. That looks pretty close. So now we're going to toggle off the highlight, and the greens have a little bit of a brownish look, but what I like to do is under tint, I like to put them a little bit more on the green side. Then I can cool it down a little bit. Looks good to me. And then here's the greens before and here's after. Super subtle, but just a change that I like to make. And lastly, we're going to click the third node, which is going to be a mask. And I'm going to click where it says magic mask. This is kind of like the final touch to my color grade. I already love the colors, but I just want to make my subject pop a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that the dropper icon is on the plus tool, and I'm going to basically draw a little outline around my subject. There we go. And if I click this toggle mask, it'll show what is highlighted, which is just the subject. And I will click this little left right arrow. It'll do a quick render through and track her throughout the footage. And once that's ready, I'm just going to toggle off the mask overlay, and I'm gonna go to my color wheels, and under shadows, I'm just going to boost the shadows a bit more just so I can make her pop. So here's before, here's after. And now we're done with our color grade. All right, everyone, so that's how I color grade footage from any camera using Dehancer Pro. And if you do have any questions about the plugin, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.